it's barely been a few weeks since the Israelis killed very, very famous American Palestinian journalist Shireen Abu Akleh. She used to work for Al Jazeera, and she's basically a household name. And then this morning, the Israelis go and kill another Palestinian journalist. I just cannot believe this. Ghufran Waresne is her name. That's her right there. And I cannot show you pictures of of what they did to her, because I saw them and they're very gruesome, and YouTube will probably flag it. So I just can't show you the pictures. But they basically shot her in the chest and killed her, and she's just on the floor, and you can see in the soil how she's bled out, like 2-3 meters of blood. Horrific, really horrific. And this is what they do, right? They shoot someone dead and then just leave them there, and they block the ambulance and the emergency workers from getting to them. It's not just happened once, not just twice, dozens and dozens and dozens of times. And they attacked her funeral too. You remember how they attacked Shireen's funeral? They attacked her funeral too. I'm going to show you in a second. It's just unbelievable. They never stop, right? They never stop. And I just want to give you an idea of how vile this is. I posted on Twitter. Again, I'm not going to show you the picture because it's gruesome, but I only posted Ghufran Waresne, Palestinian journalist, shot dead today by the Israelis. That's it. That's the sentence. And you got people screaming, anti-Semitic! What's anti-Semitic? I said she was shot dead today by the Israelis. Is that a fact or it's not a fact? What's anti-Semitic by that? You killed her, didn't you? Man, some people, they really, they don't want the truth to come out. They don't want you to say anything to even highlight their crimes. So this is what happened. Here's the headline from El Mayadeen. They say Palestinian woman killed by Israeli occupation forces. And this happened. This is Ghufran Waresne, 31 years old, at the entrance of Al Arub refugee camp. This is in the occupied West Bank. So shortly after the shooting, the Palestinian Red Crescent, which is like the Red Cross, reported that the Israeli occupation forces obstructed ambulance crews from reaching the journalist, the journalism and mass communication graduate and ex-prisoner. I want to tell you something crazy because, I started this news outlet, this social media company called In Context, right? And one of the people I'm working with there went to university with her, because we were talking about this today in the group chat. We posted the article, and she was like, "Oh my God, I went to university with her. She was one of my trainers." Can you believe that? I seen vicious comments online like, "Oh, she's not a real journalist. This is a fake story." Blah blah. Like, what is wrong with you people? You got trolls just writing the most bizarre nonsense imaginable. And so you notice here they say how she's an ex-prisoner. So she was I think imprisoned this year from January until April 1st, if I'm not mistaken, right? So the article says the Israeli occupation forces left Ghufran bleeding for more than 20 minutes before handing her over to ambulance crews. And, I remember a few weeks ago, there was a Palestinian mother of 6 who had a visual impairment. She couldn't see well. And she was a widow as well. And she was crossing the street. And because there's some Israeli occupation soldier like yelling something at her, and she didn't stop. He shot her in the leg and left her to bleed out on the street, and she just died. What was her name again? Ghada Subaltin, I think, something like that. I remember her first name was Ghada, and I covered it here, but like just to tell you that this is not, it's not something new. They do this all the time, and they don't care because what's going to happen to them. You think anyone's going to sanction them or punish them? No, they can get away with it, whatever they want. Right? So, Ghufran, the journalist that was killed today, she had applied for a job as a news presenter at Our Radio 2 weeks ago. The director and program producer at Dream Radio in Hebron told the New Arab. He said she went through some qualification tests and was hired, and today was her first day of work. It was her first day of work, and they shot her dead. This is Ghufran, doing an old report. You can take a look.
فرحة غمرت قلوب الكثيرين من الأسرى وذويها واستنشاق عبق الحرية هي نعمة لا يدركها سوى من زج خلف قضبان صنعها.
So that's her, and again, this is from the Cradle. They say the Palestinian Foreign Ministry released a statement condemning the murder as a field execution. Right, and of course, like I was just saying, this is just a few weeks. May 11th, they killed Shireen. Today's June 1st. It's not even a month. It literally has not even been a month. Okay, and you look at what the news agency Palestine Wafa says, over 50 Palestinian journalists have been killed since 2000. And of course, no one is ever held accountable, right? Like, this is normal, right? You can see here, again, I'm going to try and cover up some of the parts. This is... I can hear him screaming, Ahmalu. It means hold, right? So they're trying to pick her up to take her, and look what the Israelis do. They literally start firing bullets in the air to stop them from taking her to get medical care after she's shot. I don't even know what to say. I guess, we shouldn't expect anything less from someone who just, shot a journalist in the chest. And I want to show you this video that somebody filmed of the soldiers that killed her. And look at the guilt on their faces. Honestly, look at the guilt. He's asking, you killed her? You shot her? Are you proud of yourself? God damn you. God damn you. He's saying, where are you from? You from Ethiopia? Because you notice the guy's black, right? And that's the thing in Israel, in occupied Palestine, the Israelis, some of them are Ethiopian Jews, right? Israel, basically, to legitimize itself, to legitimize the occupation, they try and, bring as many Jews as possible from all over the world, right? And, one of the ways they do that is they incentivize people with citizenship. So if you're a Jew from New York, from Brooklyn, you got literally nothing to do with the Middle East. You can just show up and get citizenship, and you can take someone's house, so on a piece of land that used to belong to a Palestinian. And if Ethiopian Jews as well. And the irony is that, the Israelis say, oh, we're a democracy. Actually, they say we're the only democracy in the Middle East, right? That's their slogan. Go ask some Ethiopian Jews how they're treated in Israel, right? They literally have like an hierarchy in Israel. Like the white Jews from Europe are the quote unquote the best. They get the best treatment. And then they treat the local Jews, like from, Iraq or Syria or Egypt, shittier. And then the black Jews get treated, the shittiest. I've heard that from an Israeli, right? And I think you will have many, many accounts corroborating that. That's how it is. They also have their racism among Jews, right? They don't treat each other equal like they claim. And here, you know what they're saying? Look at the headline from the Times of Israel. So they don't say that a journalist was killed. They say the IDF soldiers killed a Palestinian woman who approached them with a knife. So now they're saying that she was trying to attack them with a knife. Wow. So the Israeli occupation said in a statement that the woman was holding the knife in her hand as she neared a soldier close to the Al-Urub refugee camp. So that's where what we're talking about, the area. And there, Ghufran is her name. So a Channel 12 report said that the woman had attempted a stabbing attack in the past. So they're saying that the reason she was in jail before, a few months ago, right? I think it was in January until April 1st, is because of a stabbing attack. And they're saying that today she tried stabbing someone again, these soldiers, and that's why they shot her dead. Now look, man, not even 3 weeks ago when they killed Shireen, do you remember what the Israelis said? They said that, oh, the Palestinians killed her. Like, no, Israel did nothing. The Palestinians shot her. Look, here's a video. You know, you had Naftali Bennett and the Israeli Foreign Ministry. They posted this video with this claim. They said, look, the Palestinian gunmen here were firing, and, you know, they claimed they hit someone. It was them. And then they walked it back and they said, actually, we don't know who hit her. And then they said, you know what? We're going to investigate. But the Palestinians, they won't cooperate. And then they said, actually, we're not going to investigate. There's no criminal investigation. So, you know, they tried to blame Shireen by saying that she was among the terrorists and she was armed with a camera, right? So, I mean, what am I supposed to say? They consider a camera as a weapon, right? And they tried to blame her for being killed. And you expect them to tell the truth here? I don't know, man. I don't know what to believe. I'm sorry, but I've seen this story many times. You know, they kill someone and they say, oh, they approached too fast. They came too fast, or they wouldn't heed the soldier's command. Like as if some fucking occupier barking at you you're supposed to obey them when they're on your soil, on your land. Remember, this is occupied West Bank. The Israelis have no business being there in the first place. They're occupiers. Do you understand? So even if she nukes them, they are occupiers. Okay, I'm speaking obviously in hyperbole here, but you know, you have invaders talking about, oh, we were only defending ourselves. What do you mean defending yourself? You're literally an invader. You're not supposed to be here. And you know, when I covered all these crimes that were committed by the British Special Forces, the SAS, and the Australian Special Forces, the Australian SAS. You know what they would do in Afghanistan? They would go into a house, they would do these nighttime raids, and they would put all the men in handcuffs or zip ties, and then just shoot them dead, like execute them, and plant a knife on the body, and say, "Oh, he tried to hit me with, like, get me with a knife," right? And then you had the emails that were published by the Sunday Times and the BBC. Of the British Special Forces writing emails to each other in the base in Afghanistan, joking about how there were more bodies than knives. You know, like, how do you justify that? What do you mean you killed that guy? There's no knife. You killed him because he tried to attack you with what? There are more bodies than knives. They're joking about this. So, you know, this is not something uncommon. Just let's put it that way. I don't know if what happened today is that they planted a knife on her, but let's say it's not uncommon, right? The British do that. The Australians do that. This is, you know, the police even do that. They plant crack on someone or whatever and or marijuana. How many videos have you seen of that? You know, where the cops get caught trying to plant something. It's nothing new. And I don't buy this nonsense that you know, they had to kill her. Like, what does that mean? Okay, let's say that hypothetically she was really trying to stab him. I have a video that I've shown you guys before. You can find it on YouTube very easily. Of, like, it's in the UK. There's a black man with a knife, and you have, like, I'm not kidding, like 30 police officers trying to arrest him. And they try everything. They try to go at him with a rubbish bin and to circle him. They try literally everything to disarm him except shooting him or even tasing him. So there are many ways that you can disarm someone with a knife, especially if you're a soldier. You know, you got all this brave training without killing them. And then let's say, okay, you had to shoot her. Why do you let her bleed out? Why do you not let the emergency workers save her life? So there are too many things here. There's too many, there are too many foul incidences. Incidents and clues that are at play. There's too much foul play. You know, they killed Shireen a few weeks ago and tried to blame her for being killed. And again, like I just told you, there are many ways they could have disarmed her without shooting her. Even if they had to shoot her, they didn't have to let her bleed out on the floor. The Israelis, we know what they are. We know how they treat the Palestinians. This is nothing new. This is only new if you're not paying attention or you've been swallowing the Israeli propaganda, And, at the end of the day, let me be very clear. So some people get this through their heads. You know how they're all talking about, oh, look, Russia's invading Ukraine and sovereignty this and sovereignty that. The West Bank is an occupied territory. Okay? The Israelis are occupiers, illegal occupiers. They have no business being there. So even under international law, she has a right to fight the occupier by all means necessary. It's not me saying that. I didn't say that. That's international law. You have a problem with that? Go talk to the UN or the UN Security Council, right? When you are under occupation, you are allowed to resist occupation by all means necessary. So just like, throwing Molotov cocktails at a Russian tank is fine. Whatever Palestinians do to fight the occupiers is also fine. But this is playing devil's advocate. This is if you even believe what the Israelis are claiming about her. About she was trying to stab them. We know they've made these stories up many times. And I want to show you just how disgusting this is, how they even attacked her funeral, right? So, even after killing her, they add insult to injury. Literally adding insult to injury. So they fired tear gas and sound grenades towards them, towards the crowds and the pallbearers.
قوات الاحتلال تقمع الآن بالقنابل الصوتية جثمان موكب جثمان الشهيدة غفران الوراسنة في هذه اللحظات. بالقنابل الصوتية وبالسحل على الأرض يتم الآن قمع جثمان الشهيدة الجواد. في ناس
I can hear the cursing. يلعن أبو أبوك.
نجح الجثمان يتم الآن قمع الجنازة بالقنابل الغازية.
So قنابل غازية, tear gas.
القنابل الغازية بعد أن دخلت مشهد أشبه ما يكون بتشييع جثمان الزميلة شيرين أبو عاقلة ثم قمع جثمان أو جنازة الشهيدة الزميلة الصحفية غفران الوراسنة.
You see, he mentioned Shireen Abu Akleh, the Al Jazeera journalist, the Palestinian American who was killed. Same thing, right? They attacked her funeral. Now they attack Ghufran's funeral. I mean, they have zero shame. Like, no matter how much you give the Israelis the benefit of the doubt, you say, okay, she tried to stab him. Okay, he had to shoot her. Okay, there was some reason to let her bleed out. Why do you have to attack the funeral on top of it? There's no room for anything redeeming. There's no way you can look at their behavior and justify it or excuse it. It never works. It never works. And this is the funny thing. The Israelis, they always have an excuse. They always have a reason. Like, everything that they do is justifiable. They are the ones in control. They get to call the shots. And all Palestinian behavior is wrong. The funeral is wrong. The way that Shireen was reporting was wrong. The way she was standing was wrong. It's her fault for standing there. Nothing Palestinians can do is right. And everything the Israelis do is always correct. It's amazing. It's incredible. It's incredible. I'm at a loss for words today.
الموكب الجنائزي والتشييع نجح بالدخول إلى مخيم العروب وسط قمع الجنازة بالقنابل الصوتية والغازية الآن الغاز.
Look at that. Look, man. You can look at the ambulance and the tear gas next to it. I mean, that really tells you everything you need to know. I'm sorry, but Do you see how people are screaming that the French police used tear gas against Liverpool fans who were in Paris for the Champions League final? Like, how dare you fire tear gas at football fans who are just queuing up? Where's the outrage here? How dare you fire tear gas at a funeral? It's a funeral, and you fire tear gas at people and sound grenades. Like, do you see how they don't tolerate that kind of behavior? What a higher threshold they have. And Palestinians have to tolerate all kinds of abuses. Man, come on. This is the occupation, man. This is the occupation and the realities of the occupation. And, you know, the sad thing is that with Shireen, she was an American citizen. She was an Al Jazeera journalist. She was a household name. She was, you know, doing that for like 25 years. So there was a lot of media outcry, you know, worldwide. And even then, nothing's going to happen. Like, you know, the Israelis are not going to do any criminal investigation. Again, even if they'd done that, it's like a kangaroo court, or shall I say, a circus, right? They're never going to convict or actually hold to account one of their own, because that would mean admitting fault. And they want to portray themselves to the world as like the most moral army. They literally call themselves that, the most moral army. So, you know, my point is that going back to Shireen, she was famous. Very famous, and an American citizen on top of it. So the Americans, they had to say something. The thing is with Ghufran, she is just as much important and valuable as a human being, and a journalist, and a Palestinian. And, you know, my fear is that there's not going to be any media outcry about this, right? And no matter how much people said about Shireen, the Israelis, they escape any kind of justice. They can get away with anything they like. And this is why, within less than a month, Israel can do things like this. It can kill 2 female Palestinian journalists, and no one cares. And even attack their funerals on top of it. So there's no wiggle room. There's no way you can win. It's always a win for Israel, and the Palestinians are on the receiving end. And I just don't know what to say, man. You know, as long as the West keeps funding this, it's never going to stop. The West needs to cut off the support for Israel. All of it. Not 1 cent. No political support at the UN Security Council. Nothing. Because Israel cannot function without that support. Do you understand? Israel is a settler colonial project that has been created and propped up by Europe. It's been put there on purpose to, or shall we say, not only put there on purpose, but certainly maintained on purpose ever since, to make sure that the Arab world is fractured, right? Even geographically, you can literally see they put this Israeli project right in the middle of the Arab world to make sure that you have a fractured Arab world. And there are, of course, a million other reasons, but Israel, as long as it has political cover, media cover, because, you know, it would be one thing if the West was financing this and funding this, but the media in the West was actually talking about it. They're not going to talk about it. They're not going to, you know, condemn Israel as needs to be done, as much as needs to be done. No, they just can't do it. And they won't do it because they're cowards. So, you know, very, very tragic day. And people barely got over mourning Shireen. And now, you know, Ghufran has also been killed. I think that's her family, right? I think that's her family at the hospital. Really, really horrible. Allah yarhamah.